It's almost finally here, the fight that all of British boxing is talking about. I'm of course talking about Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. How does it feel to be on the cusp of this fight?
On the cusp of it, listen, not many people were there at both fights of the fathers. I was one of them. I'm old enough for that. So now, like father, like son, the apple doesn't fall from the tree. No, the animosity, the expectation and everything. And this isn't even a world-class fight. It's not even for a world title, but it's filled out Tottenham. He's filled it out. That shows how much is on that line on here. It's like this has captured the public's imagination. Might not be big, you know, in Europe or around the world, but it's big here in the UK. And so that is what really makes boxing so special, because you've got these two young men that want to fight for family honour, want to fight because, you know what, one thinks you treat me like a villain, I'll be like a villain. And one's like just a chip off the old block. And Conor's like, oh, I'll have you. I just want to have a piece. It's a great combination.
And how hard is it, particularly if you're Conor Benn, to go up 2 weight divisions to take on a challenge like this?
Well, on paper, it looks like it's really hard. I saw Conor in between fights, and he looked huge, so he gets down to the weight. Now, to fight at that weight, you know, you'll fight your optimum weight, what suits you down to the ground. So that obviously he can do it. But then you look at Chris coming down. So what's more dangerous, the fighter going up or the fighter going down? More dangerous is the fighter going down, because you're pouring out your energy, you're pouring out your strength, you're pouring out. So therefore, this fight, the first 6 rounds will suit Chris. The last 6 rounds will suit Conor. And so it's just how it works. It works so well in both. It's a perfect storm. And of course, yeah, you know, his father's saying, you know, this is wrong. I understand what he's saying, but look, historically, very few fights, certain fighters have been able to jump up 5 weight divisions and still be world champions. So it's not an impossible ask, but you've got to be a talented kind of fight to be able to be successful at it.
And I wonder, the X factor that you normally look at with Conor Benn is that incredible power, some of the knockouts that we've seen him pull out. But how much harder is that to do against someone who has fought as high as super middle?
It is hard, but timing is everything. So usually when you knock somebody out, it's not about power, it's about timing. The shot you don't see coming. And Conor will have the speed, he'll have the accuracy, we've seen it. His career was rising massively until he hit the speed bump in his career. And I thought he was one of the fastest improving fighters I'd seen in these waters for quite a while. So, but unfortunately, you know, the development of him has stopped because of what's been going on with the boxing board and with his medical. And that's just how it is. So that's by the by. So now I think, looking at Chris's last fight, if I'd have put Conor in with him, I'd have thought Conor would beat him off his last fight, because I wasn't impressed with Chris's last fight. But, you know, we saw Chris in his second fight against Smith, you know, when he put his shit together. So now, as Chris, you know, has Chris rinsed it a bit too much? Is it a bit gone a big step a bit too far? We don't know. But, you know, either way, it's an intriguing fight, and it's got people split for very, very different reasons.
And would you say that because of the point they're at in each of their respective careers, this is probably more of a must-win for Eubank at this point? I feel like Conor, if he was to be beaten, he's still got time on his side.
Conor has an excuse.
Yeah.
Chris doesn't. That's it. Conor has an excuse. Chris doesn't. Conor has an excuse. I'm not boxed all this time. I'm low in weight and everything. Chris doesn't have an excuse. His career hasn't been halted. He's the bigger fighter, so he doesn't have one. So the pressure is on Chris all the way through.
And I think it's the old adage, styles make fights. But interestingly, the person who's maybe more of the boxer over the puncher is actually the bigger man in there. Do you think that Eubank, we might see some adjustments? He might try and put that power on more?
I don't know, but one thing is, both fighters are very fit. And both fighters will bring out a career best performance for each other. This might be that fight. Yeah, and so that's why this fight, to me, creates more questions than answers. And until Sunday morning next week, we won't know the answers.
And just finally, I think you probably knew that this was coming. It had to come. I'm going to have to press you for a prediction, Johnny.
Wow. Early Conor, late Chris.
Fantastic stuff, Johnny Nelson. Thank you.
Nice one.